Hey friends, if you're watching this, I want to say first of all, thank you for coming to my page and listening to what I have to say. I wanted to share my heart this morning. Um, we're going to do a little bit different. I'm going to actually do it while I'm doing my hair because I get a little less nervous if I'm keeping my hands busy and doing what I'm doing. But I am starting this page today. There's no reason to hold out any longer. I had read, I don't know, I share this a lot, but I love to read quotes and things of other people's thoughts and that sort of thing. So I'm going to read a quote to you guys. First things first. And it said, "Stop walking through life looking for confirmation that you do not belong. You will always find it because you've made it your mission." And in the last little while, God had been dealing with me in general with, if you don't know, if you don't know me or about me, if you're new and that sort of thing, or if you're a friend of a friend or that sort of thing, my family and I were recently relocated to out of state, out of our comfort zone, to a little over 2 hours from our what we've called home our entire life. And so it was a big transition, exciting, but scary as well. I mean, we're certain that this was God's plan for us at this point in our lives. But to be completely brutally honest, the first few months after moving, instead of embracing the change and instead of walking face forward and head up, that sort of thing, the transition was a little bit rough. Going away from everything you've ever known, everyone you've ever known, every single thing that's comfortable, every single thing that you've known your entire life, like my childhood, everything. I grew up in the city that we lived in, and we walked away from church, friends, family, all the sorts. And so the first few months, I truly was like laying in self-pity, keeping my focus on what I had left behind, that sort of thing, instead of looking to and asking, God, what's your plan for the future? Like, where do I go from here, I guess would be the words that I'm trying to find. And that's when I had read this quote and I'd been asking God, okay, I had friends there, I had church there, Sunday school ministry, that sort of thing, helpful in the sanctuary. Just moving forward, where do I go from here? So once I had that shift of poor pitiful me and quit looking at that, quit walking in that, quit walking in the defeat, I just genuinely was hurt, I guess. Not hurt by anyone or anything, but just hurt by the situation, hurt by the circumstance, I guess, and feeling super lonely, super alone, that sort of thing. And I just truly had to have a come to Jesus meeting. I don't even know what else to say. Truly had to have a come to Jesus meeting and, be honest. Instead of putting on that facade that, all is well and this is where we need to be. And I understand that, but it doesn't, just because you understand God's plan and understand, we can't fully comprehend and understand, don't get me wrong, but because we understand that this is where we need to be, it doesn't make it easy. It doesn't eliminate the emotions that you feel. But where we mess up is when you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, which is precisely what I was doing. So in the last few months, especially in the last few weeks, like I said, I had a come to Jesus meeting, and I just ultimately, tearfully, painfully asked him, okay, this is where we're at, this is what we're doing. I had to come to the realization that I can't I don't even know how to say this. I need to accept what I can't change and do something about the things that I can change. I couldn't change that I no longer went to my church that I've grown up in. I can't change that. I have nothing where we're at. And I had to come to realize that everything that we go through is appointed. Everything that we face is appointed. Everything that comes our way is appointed, and it's for a purpose. So instead of sitting and focusing on poor pitiful me, I started asking God, okay, this is it. What am I doing? Where am I at? What am I doing? What can I do? And the preacher was preaching. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. It might have been 3 weeks ago, because all of this has been marinating in my brain. And he said, you know, instead of when you don't know what to do, go back to the last thing that God told you and do that. Be faithful in that. So then I'm thinking, okay, if you don't know, a friend and I had made a page, and at the time, that's where we needed to be and what we were doing. Well, of course, things change, and we all have to be obedient to His voice, regardless what that looks like. And so that was hard for me to give up as well. And so at that point, it's like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, what about me? And as I'm praying about all these things, and I know I'm scatterbrained and things are like all over the place, and I hope some of this makes sense, or at least gives you an explanation as to where I'm at and where my brain is and what I'm thinking. God, I feel like He asked me, do you really want to bloom right where I've planted you? And at first I was taken aback. I mean, you know, if you have a relationship with God, it's like a running conversation. Like, I'm talking to Him all day long. He's telling me when to be quiet. Sometimes I listen, and sometimes I tearfully do not and regret it later. So He's our friend, so we can talk to Him. He already knows all the emotions that you're feeling. He already knows everything that you feel, everything that you've said, everything that you've thought. So just be honest with Him. And I was brutally honest, and that's when He asked me, do you really want to bloom where I've planted you? And, you know, I made excuses. I, you know, reiterated the fact that I knew not a single soul in this entire state. I wanted to complain about, you know, well, look where I was, like what I had, what I was doing. I was doing this for you, and I was doing that. Well, you know, I started talking negative, you know, being honest, was negative about the whole situation. I'm like, well, how can I not know a single person in this entire state, not have a connection with people, not have friendships, not have any of these things? And He said again, you know, do you really want to bloom right where I've planted you? So then I started thinking, like, it just like hit me, and, you know, I started thinking about, okay, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? Okay, well, first of all, that looks like in my home. Okay, in my home. That's the first thing that came to my mind, is what can I do to change for the better at home, starting with my marriage, starting with my children, starting with myself primarily. I could remain stagnant, defeated, walking in pity, self-pity, all those negative things, or I could choose to be determined to bloom right where He's planted me. And that would be within myself, in my household, my family, and every aspect of my life that I may not know what to do, but I could trust him through it, and I could walk forward doing the last thing that he told me to do. Well, the last thing that every time I would pray, I would hear the word effective, okay? So it's not about the big stuff. It's not about a show or about just being the best at everything or having this persona that everything's okay. And no, it's about taking action right where he's put you to be effective for his kingdom, okay? Now, if you are not a follower of Jesus, you may not understand what that means. And I just want to briefly, I have battled with this for the last 6 months. In the last month, things have gotten really hard. Things have changed even more drastically. And again, do I want to be effective? Do I want to bloom right where I've been planted? Is the question that he keeps bringing to my mind. And so I have finally had the realization that I can't become what I want, or not necessarily what I want, but what he wants for me, by remaining where I'm at and remaining what I've been doing. So the answer that I got was, okay, you want to bloom right where I've planted you, then remain faithful where I've planted you. And that to me looks like, at this point in my life, with all the things that we face, all the things that we have, all the things that we are, concerning our home life, our marriage, our children, and all of these things, social media is key in my life. Social media is my outlet. Social media is where I share things with family and friends. Social media is pretty much my connection to the outside world. So, with this being said, and I apologize if I've been scatterbrained and all over the place, because that's pretty much where my brain is at right now. But I want to be effective. I want to bloom where I've been planted. And to me, that looks like social media. So, like the quote that I went back to in the beginning, you can look for all the excuses. You can try to find reasons why not you. You can try to run the opposite direction when you know in your heart that God has called you to do something. Well, I know without a doubt, I may not be the smartest, I may not be the prettiest, I may not be perfect, I may not be the best example, I may not be the best mother, the best wife, all these things. But I'm enough. And I know that. Sometimes my heart doesn't feel it. Sometimes my brain wants to tell me otherwise. But I know that. Even this morning when I was reading this devotion, which I have it with me, I brought it in from out of the car. I do try to do this. This is something I started with my kids, because since moving, I had honestly slacked off and hadn't been being intentional with teaching my kids. I'd just gotten obviously a bad place for a while. And so at the start of the new year, God had laid it on my heart to start this devotion with my children. Just a few pages, about 10 minutes a day in the mornings, to start their morning off with the right mindset. That's what I do in my own life, was to start, I get in the Word in the morning, so that way it totally changes the outlook of your day. So I wanted to be intentional and just put this seed in my children, so that way they start their day. When they go to school, the last thing they heard from me is something out of this devotion, something that points them to Jesus, something that could prick their heart and plant a seed and grow each and every day. Okay, well, this morning, the chapter that we started in was watch out for things that can poison you. And it's talking about how, there's always an outside battle. There's always something going on in the spiritual realm that we may not even acknowledge or realize, but it's there. And there's always good versus evil going on at all times. And it's talking about different things that can poison you. And then it talks about getting bent out of shape. And so it gave some examples of things that can try to poison your mind. And as I'm teaching this to my children in the car, 10 minutes, we set our alarm and we get up early, 10 minutes earlier, so that way we can have 10 minutes with Jesus in the car together, me and the boys, before dropping Noah off at school. And so, I'm going through this and I'm like, this is really good for you guys. This is really good for you guys. Well, Jesus had a little way of sneaking a little something in there for me. And the first thought, that poisonous thought that comes up, it says, who do you think you are? You can't share your faith. Everyone doesn't want to hear what you have to say. They'll think you're crazy. Well, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because God's been dealing with me of starting this with social media, to be able to have a place to share devotions and such. I've been trying to do it on my personal page a little, be intentional since the beginning of the year, but I feel like this is the direction that He wants me to go into and to confidently go into. And I've been honestly battling in the mind, who do you think you are? You don't have anything to say. What are you going to share with somebody? You can't even get your own crap together. All these things come to mind, and we know it's not true. God's word tells us otherwise. So then the truth, it says, who are you? And then it says the stuff that it tells you to combat that who do you think you are poisonous thought. It reads like this. It says, the truth is, you know exactly who you are. You're a child of God, and you can share your faith because God will strengthen you to do it. When the time is right, and the people that you need to share with, they'll be able to grow in faith too. That's just the way it works. We're in a family that keeps reaching out to bring others into the family too. You want others to know God just like you know God, so that they can have the joy in God's promises too. They can walk in the peace that you have and know where to turn when trouble comes. And this is out of a children's devotional. And as I'm reading this to my children, He is truly speaking to my heart instead, which it resonates with them as well. But in this devotion that I had sat down to do with them this morning, He spoke to me. And growth is painful. Change is painful. Change is inevitable. And I can choose to remain complacent. I can choose to remain passive, or I can accept the things that I can't change. I can't change right now where our location is. I can't change lots of things concerning my life, but there's one thing that I can change. I can change me, I can change my mindset, and I can change my outlook. And so that's what I'm doing today. I'm taking the step forward to do this, to start this page with you guys. And it's not just going to be strictly, it's going to be me. It's going to be ultimately me. It's going to be things that I love, things that, I love thrifting, I love shopping, I love beauty products. I want to share my life with you guys. People have reached out to me concerning the whole beauty aspect, wanting to learn and never being taught. Well, I want to use this as an avenue to be able to do that. If you want to learn how to put on foundation, or you want to learn how to use an eyeliner or mascara, those sorts of things, I want to be that to help you. Not to make a profit, not that avenue, but to be a genuine help. I want to be informative. I want to be an encouragement ultimately, and just have fun with it. I don't have personal friends where I'm located, but to have somebody to connect with, just to have fun and share life. And I was thinking, all that we focus on a lot of times is our mindset gets shifted, and all we think about is the things we don't like. But what if we got obsessed with all the things that we love about ourselves and all the things that we love about our life and share that? And I want to be the best version of me that I can be. I don't want to be a copycat. I don't want to try to be somebody else or try to be something that I'm not, because that's not going to make me happy. I want to be who God has called me to be and share my life in doing that. I want to just have fun and share the hope of Jesus in the process, if that makes sense. Now, granted, I know that this has been, a whole myriad of chaotic thoughts that have been inside of me, and it may not have been delivered as eloquently as others may be able to do, but that's okay. I want to be authentically me. I want to share everything that God lays on my heart. I want to share fun things with my kids. And if you don't feel like you have a friend, if you don't feel like you fit in, it's okay. There's a seat at the table with me and with Jesus, and you're never alone. And that's what God keeps telling me. I fell into this pit, and I kept telling myself, look what you lost, look what you don't have anymore, look what you used to do, and look what you don't have that opportunity here. So, opportunity knocks, and we're going to walk through that door. I, in and of myself, am worthless, but I don't find my worth in myself. I don't find my worth in what I can accomplish. I don't find my value in appearance. I don't find my value in anything but Jesus. And if he says that I can do it, I can do it. And I can do all things through him. That's a common verse that, we always tell ourselves, you can't do that. Who are you? I'm his. So if you made it through this entire video of chaos and random thoughts that have gone on in my head in the last few weeks, I want to say thank you. Hang around, stay a while. Join me at the table. I have no expectations and no genuine plan for this. Just diving in feet first, because when he says go, you go. I want to remain effective. I want to remain steadfast, and I want to remain obedient. And this is where we're at. This is what we're doing, and hang on for the ride. All right, guys, if you listened this far, thank you. Invite your friends. Should be fun. I'm going to share makeup, thrifting, all those sorts of things. I like to do crafts, so crafty things would be fun. Also, I like to make things with the kids, and Owen has been wanting to make a video, so we will be doing that soon too. I'd like to transition into using this page more and using my personal page for more personal things and family things. So if you guys are intrigued, hang out with me. It'll be more than just beauty, hence the name, Beyond Beauty. Our value isn't found in our beauty. Sometimes we put so much focus on our outward appearance, so much focus on hair, makeup, weight, all of these things, and all those things are going to pass away. Those things don't matter. Our heart is where it's at, and I want to share that with you. And those things are fun to focus on, but they should not be our primary focus. Our primary focus should be sharing the good news and sharing what God has done in our lives, and just being happy and living life for him. And that's what I want to do, and that's what I strive to do daily. And just be a bright light. Be a bright light for him. And that's where we're at, and that's what we're doing. So you guys have a happy Thursday, and I will chat at you soon. Thanks, guys.